Read the passages from King Arthur's Knights and Walcott Farm and then answer numbers 1 through 6. Passage 1 from King Arthur's Knights by Henry Gilbert. In this excerpt from King Arthur's Knights, the mythical King Arthur of Britain and his Knights of the Round Table receive a mysterious visitor at court. The visitor brings news about the quest for the Holy Grail, a powerful and mysterious artifact. Then the door opened, and an old and reverend man entered, white of beard and head, and clothed also in white. "Peace be with you, fair lord," said the old man. Then turning to the king, he said, "Sir, I bring here a young knight, the which of a king's lineage, whereby the marvels of this court shall be accomplished, and the trial of this thy kingdom shall be brought to a happy end, if that may be. And the name of him is Galahad." "Sir," said the king, "ye be right welcome, and the young knight with you." Then was the young man led by the reverend man to the Siege Perilous, and sat him thereon, and men marveled to see that the death stroke did not flash like lightning and slay him. "Sir," said the old man to him, "wit ye well that that is your seat, for you are he that shall surely achieve the Holy Grail, and such of these your fellows as are pure in heart and humble shall achieve it with you." "Sir," said the king, "if it may be that ye know, will ye tell us what my knights must do to achieve the holy vessel, and thus bring peace into my kingdom in place of war? For many of those that are kings and barons under me are warring with each other, and threaten to rend this island of Britain, and it goeth to my heart to know this, and I have much dread." 1. Siege Perilous, mystical chair that would slay any but the greatest knight who tried to sit in it. 2. Grail, alternate spelling of grail as in Holy Grail. "Sir King," said the old white man, "none may tell you what shall be the end of this quest of the Holy Grail. Ye war with each other, and are evil livers, and full of pride and mastery. And if ye do not repent and stay your dishonor, then shall the holy vessel pass from Britain, and ruin and death and civil war shall stalk through the land and leave it desolate." Then uprose Sir Gawain, who was a faithful knight and true man to his king, though a proud one and a hasty. He was filled with sorrow and for the ruin that threatened his fair land. "Now I do here avow," he said, "that tomorrow without fail I shall set forth, and I shall labor with all the strength of my body and my soul to go in quest of the Holy Grail, so that it may be fit to see and to bring it hither. This dear land may be saved from woe." So hot were his words that many of the better knights rose also, and raising their right hands did make a like avowal. Passage 2. Walcott Farm by Ryan Efkin. Graham sat at the kitchen table and sweated over a pile of crop reports and bank statements. Outside, rain plummeted down on the farm as if to mock him. After the long drought, this August rain would do him no good. His sons disagreed about how to save the farm, and arguments had led to threats of lawsuits. Graham remained determined. The farm had been established by an ancestor who was one of Paul Revere's Minutemen, or so the story went, and the main house, built of cobblestone, had the original pot-bellied stove and other archaic features. Bleary-eyed and exhausted, Graham continued to look for a decimal point in the wrong place, but the numbers always came up the same. He heard a loud bang at the door, as if the storm itself was trying to force its way in. Probably the rusty latch failing him now, too. He got up to tighten the lock, but as he fizzled with the chain, the banging increased. Graham cracked the door open, and it spun back on its hinges in the storm's wind. An old man, rain-drenched and wild-eyed, stood on the doorstep. He said, "We never used to keep that door locked, not even when times were hard and folks took to robbing one another." The man shouldered past Graham into the kitchen. He looked around the room, and as his eyes met various objects, he seemed to acknowledge them. Graham had no idea who this person was, but he felt he ought to deal gently with him. The man was clearly confused. "How can I help you, sir?" Graham asked. "I think you've ended up at the wrong house." The man seemed to think that was funny. "I know exactly where I am. The legendary Walcott Farm. This farm's been up and running ever since this nation became a nation. And you, if I'm not wrong, are Graham Walcott." This gave Graham a pause. The man's familiarity annoyed him, but Graham still felt it best to deal with him carefully. "And you are?" "I'm Caleb Walcott, your father's brother, and I grew up in this house. I'm the one who ran off to find his fortune out west. Wish I could say it panned out, but it didn't. Luckily for me, for the both of us, looks like, the real fortune is right here, beneath our feet." Graham's father had never mentioned having a brother. This man's story was preposterous. A bolt of lightning cracked outside, and with it came a flash of inspiration. Graham returned to his seat and gestured to a large carved oak chair that stood against the center wall. Well, Caleb, why don't you pull that chair up to the table and you can tell me about this fortune that we're both standing on? The old man smiled. I can't blame you for testing me, but we both know that chairs chiseled from a tree trunk rooted 40 feet into the earth. A twister could carry off this house and that chair would still be standing upright in that exact place. Graham stood. Nobody outside of this family knows about that chair. The man added, and even fewer know what I'm about to tell you. My grandfather told me this story, and only once. When the founder of this farm came over from England, he brought with him some priceless object, something royal, maybe a scepter or a crown. Whether he buried it from thieves or tax collectors, I don't know. Either way, somewhere out there, the man gestured grandly toward the farm outside the window, is a treasure. Outside, lightning cracked again, and a ripple of thunder shook the windows. The logical explanation was that the man was delusional, or perhaps he was a thief, and this was the start of some elaborate scam. But the man knew about the chair. Nobody knew about the chair. Graham paced, wondering if he was imagining it all. If at the end of his rope his mind had conjured up a fantastic story as a way of avoiding the plain truth. The family farm was done for. Graham sat down in the large oaken chair. He ran his hands along the armrest that had been carved by his ancestors hundreds of years before. Was it impossible that some priceless relic was out there buried in his land? What did he lose by giving the idea a chance? Graham turned to the old man and asked, "How are we going to find it?" Now answers number 1 through 6. Base your answers on the passages from King Arthur's Knights and Walcott Farm. Number 1. Fill in the circles before 2 details from passage 1 that show why Gawain chooses to pursue the Grail. Then uprose Sir Gawain, who was a faithful knight and true man to his king, though a proud one and a hasty. He was filled with sorrow for the ruin that threatened his fair land. Now I do here avow, he said, that tomorrow without fail I shall set forth, and I shall labor with all the strength of my body and my soul, to go in quest of the Holy Grail, so that if I be fit to see it and bring it hither, this dear land may be saved from woe. Number 2. This question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. Part A. In passage 2, what theme is suggested by Graham's situation? A. First instincts are usually correct. B. A sense of adventure can solve many problems. C. Planning ahead can help one understand a situation more clearly. D. People will do whatever is necessary to keep what is important to them. Part B. Which quotation helps develop the theme in Part A? A. Graham's father had never mentioned having a brother. This man's story was preposterous. B. Luckily for me, for the both of us, looks like the real fortune is right here beneath our feet. C. Either way, somewhere out there, the man gestured grandly towards the farm outside the window, is a treasure. D. Graham turned to the old man and asked, "How are we going to find it?" Number 3. Read the excerpt from passage 1. Sir, I bring here a young knight, the which is of king's lineage, whereby the marvels of this court shall be accomplished, and the trial of this thy kingdom shall be brought to a happy end, if that may be. And the name of him is Galahad. What does the use of the word trial suggest in this excerpt? A. The kingdom is under pressure from enemy countries. B. The kingdom has endured many hardships in the past. C. The old man will judge those who fail to obtain the Grail. D. The knights have a legal responsibility to pursue the Grail. Number 4. This question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. Part A. How is the structure of passage 2 different from the structure of passage 1? A. Passage 2 ends by foreshadowing what will happen next. B. Passage 2 builds towards a climax as the story progresses. C. Passage 2 describes the characters' thoughts and actions in between dialogue. D. Passage 2 introduces the main character's conflict before anything else occurs. Part B. Which aspect of the passages is affected by this difference in structure? A. How the reader imagines the story will end. B. The way the characters' goals are revealed. C. The number of ways the stories can be understood. D. How the reader knows what the main characters are thinking. Number 5. Read this excerpt from passage 1. Sir, said the king, if it may be that ye know, will ye tell us what my knights must do to achieve the holy vessel, and thus bring peace into my kingdom in place of war? For many of those that are kings and barons under me are warring with each other, and threaten to rend this island of Britain, and it goeth to my heart to know this, and I have much dread. Sir King, said the old white man, none may tell you what shall be the end of this quest of the Holy Grail. Ye war with each other, and are evil livers, and full of pride and mastery. And if ye do not repent, and stay your dishonor, then shall the holy vessel pass from Britain, and ruin and death and civil war shall stalk through the land and leave it desolate. How does the speaker's point of view in this excerpt increase the tension of passage 1? A. By showing that the power of the Grail has the potential to do harm. B. By showing that the Grail has likely been lost to the kingdom forever. C. By showing that Britain is less powerful than the knights believe it to be. D. By showing that the knights share responsibility for the condition of Britain.